Today I thought we could draw a snapping turtle. Today when I was driving down the road, I saw this turtle and he was in the road. I almost left him because I knew he was a snapping turtle. So I took my snow brush and tried to push him off the road. He really pushed against me. They are very mean. So if you see one, stay away from it or get something to push it or move it because they will grab you. They have a tooth right in there, a tooth on top and bottom, and they grab, so just be careful. And I thought it'd be fun to draw him. So this is the image that I chose for us to draw, and I want to show you how I'm going to break it down. I'm going to use an oval for his body. I know it looks like it's a circle, and if you think about it, it's pretty close to a circle, but it's more of an oval because it swings a little bit out like this way. And then it has a little dent in it, like a kidney bean dent. And then he has his, of course, head is a circle. This looks a lot like a triangle to me. This looks like an oval, a circle, another triangle, a long skinny triangle, and a circle. So that's how I'm going to break it up. I've been talking a lot about moving these circle drawings into gesture drawings, so I'm thinking after drawing this with the shapes, I'm going to show you how I do a quick gesture drawing, probably smaller on the side of this. So what I'm going to do is start drawing it for you now. Okay, so here we're going with a circle. I want to stay where I can have still a little place to do a gesture drawing, so maybe I'll move him over a little bit. So it's really an oval. It's not a circle. It's an oval. It's close to a circle, but not quite. If I do a circle, it's going to look like he's flat on the ground and I'm looking over the top of him. I want to have it look like I'm coming in a little bit sideways. And then I may even dome it a little bit so it's more, a circle on the top and a kind of like a dome, like a convex with a concave. So it's almost like a rainbow with an alternating rainbow on the opposite side of it. And then I'm going to create a little bit of like a kidney shape on the inside like this. And it is pretty pointed, so it looks like that. I will need an eraser. I'm drawing this dark for you. If I was drawing without an eraser, I probably would not. If I was drawing it for myself, I would probably have the lines so light that I wouldn't even need to erase them. So the head is a little bit below this little notch, and I'm going to draw it in as a circle. Then his little arm is attached at the shoulder. It's a little curve there. It's attached to the shoulder, and it comes out like that. The other arm comes out like this. The leg comes out kind of straight behind, and this one is very small right here. And the tail comes right next to the leg. So this is like, it looks like the itsy bitsy spider, but it's giving you the idea of placement. Just getting a basic idea of where you're going to place these shapes so that you just don't draw them and they don't relate to what the rest of the body is. So right here, I'm going to draw this kind of a triangle-y shape here, and I'll be adding more details. It's not going to remain like a triangle or ovals, or if you've seen this before, I know you understand that. So then there's the other leg, and then a little bit of a circle for his claws, and then this one is a circle also. This leg looks a lot like a triangle, and the tail reaches out just about as far as that foot. So I'm going to use this one line as the back line for it, and actually it reaches a little further than the foot, and then I'm going to swing back in. So right there is your very basic of this cute little nasty turtle, and I'm going to actually slip this over a little bit so it looks like it's on a bit of an angle instead of straight head on. Now I'm going to just go in and start adding the details. I'm going to come down this little arm, and I see there's a bump there, and he's got these little nasty claws. He was adorable, but I really would not want to mess with him without having something to help push him off the road with. A shovel would have worked great, but I didn't have one of those in my car. So this part of the triangle I will erase like this. And I'm going to put in a claw, which is another triangle, and it's almost like he has webs in between his little claws. So I'll add another little claw and another bigger claw. And then this one actually is here from the triangle. So that's that leg. And I'm not going to go in and add the details. I generally play around through the whole thing. I don't just focus on one part, but I'm trying to show you a system right now. So I'm hoping this is catching. Yes. Okay. Now the head. His head is inside of his, kind of like he's shortened his neck in this particular part of what he was doing. And I'm going to add a little bit more to this side of the circle. He's got some folded skin here, and it's connecting to this other arm right there. So it goes up inside. He's tucked in, and then he reached out and bit. And boy, he grabbed onto that snow brush. Now his eyes are in the middle, like from top to bottom, if like humans' eyes are when we look at portraiture. And his nose is in the center. He's symmetrical on both sides, but he's crawling, so his legs don't look symmetrical. But if he was laying out flat without one leg doing something else, he would look symmetrical. And he has a circle, of course, for his eyes, and it's going to look like a little pumpkin at first. And then he has like little circles on either side and a funny little line there and curve on either side. It looks kind of triangle-ish where his nose is. And then he's got his mouth. I'm going to make him a little bit wider here. I think I might even squish him out a little bit more, make it wider. Sketch lines are fine. Don't be afraid of your sketch lines. They're there as a record of what you've done, and it also adds character, so don't be afraid of those sketch lines. Now he has some lines that go outside of his eyes. I had to take my iPad and stretch out the picture to see that, because it's not easy to see. His head is little, and the picture, it's hard to see unless I stretch it out. So, but he looks very serious here. He was angry at me, and he's got some textures on his head, which I can put in a little later. Then he's got his mouth that's gaping open. I should show you in freeze frame what he really looked like when he was fully extended. He had his neck right out and lifted himself up off of his front feet and struck. He's quite incredible. So it looks like it's a curved line with a little jig in it. And if you're worried, just do the curved line and then add the little tooth in the middle. And the other side is also a curved line. I know there's another tooth on the other direction, and the curved line comes up, and it actually looks like a little smile of a pumpkin and, a jack-o'-lantern, I guess you'd say. So there's the basic of that. I went in a little more depth on the face because it was just a circle. So now back to the body. This section has like his underarm for this leg, and it hooks on a little bit higher up, right about here. And he has claws that come off of this. It hooks onto this part of the leg, and they come forward like this, like a claw. It looks like a curved line, and then just repeats and comes back up, and a curved line down. That one's a little lower on the ground and comes back up. And then another little small one here. And that is, his leg looks a lot like that. And this one, I'm just going to grab here and pull it straight down. So I'm almost eliminating that curved part of that oval. But that's his beginning of his front legs and his head. And then his back leg here, it looks very much like this circle. And I'm going to make a line here, curve it down with the circle, and then I only see one toe here and another toe here, and this one stems off of the circle with a toenail or a claw, and then another one that's really tight up to his body. So I'm going to define the body a little bit better so you can see it right here up to the body. So that's how that looks. And then I'm going to move to his other leg, and this one looks like a fin. I mean, seriously, it looks like he has paddles, and it kind of curves a little bit here, and then there's this one nail claw, and it comes back in, and it goes in like that, and then his other claw comes out like this. Looks like maybe it's shorter. It might be just stuck into the ground. He was on the side of the road at this point. And this is a lot like breaking down hands for humans too, looking for a basic shape and then looking for where the breaks and the fingers are. So if I were to draw my hand, it'd be a similar thing. I would be doing more of a circle here. You could even use a square and then another square here. And, you can break your hand down into basic shapes also. So now we've got the basic shapes of this little guy. And then you can go in and add, he's got they're scales. He looks very much like what I would think probably a dinosaur looked like. He looks very alligator-ish. And these are all very small kind of triangle shapes. You can go in. This is fun. If you take the time to sit and just go in and add the details, you can add the details. You don't have to add every single shape, but if you want to, you certainly can. You can go in and just add some very basic details. And as these shapes go back up his body, they tend to get smaller, a little bit smaller. So you don't have to add all of those shapes and details, but they're really neat and unique. I think it would be actually fun to use him as a painting, and I could really get into the details on him. He reminds me very much of the bearded dragon that I have done. I did a painting on a bearded dragon, which I loved. It's on my Instagram and my TikTok, and I think it's on my Facebook. But I'm shading in now under here because that's where it's very dark. And his mouth, actually in the picture, I think is shifted a little bit. This is where, when I'm doing shapes, I feel like I lose some of the life in it because I'm not moving as freely. But this is how it helps you to learn to see the gesture, the very beginning. I'm going to move you and encourage you to try to do gestures. You don't have to start out with a gesture, but I think if you do a gesture, it'll help you. Now I'm adding what's underneath it as a shadow, and I'm getting ahead of myself, and I don't want to do that, so I'm going to hold back and not add that shadow. And his head is a little shaded on the top because he's tucked in. So then on the side is his little marks. These are these little, and they're not in the perfect position, but just giving you the gist of where they might be right here. And over here, his back leg. The back leg, it's harder to see those little marks because it's further away. As the things get further away, the details start to disappear. So, disappear to our eyes. We just can't see them because it's the way our eyes work. So I can add a little bit of jig-jags there. And then on his tail, it also has those little lines on it, like that. And this foot, I can add some little lines. I'm using the foot of my pencil at the side, the edge of it. And on his back, he's got some little spots. So in the middle of his back, it's easy because it's, it looks pretty much the same. And it looks like he has some sort of damage on his shell there. Now, it's almost like dividing him up into fourths. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, another pumpkin illustration there, I guess. As things get further away, they tend to get smaller. His shapes on his back do that relatively, and they're all irregular shapes. I imagine, I don't know a lot about these turtles, but I do imagine that they probably have different shapes on their back. So like how a cow is marked differently, each cow is marked differently, horses, they have humans, everybody looks a little different in some way. So what I'm doing is adding a little shadow. I'm going to harshen up that little section right where the arm is of this little guy. The sun is coming down this way because I see the shadow here. It was early in the morning, and boy was he ugly. He was mean ugly, not ugly. He's beautiful, but he was mean ugly. And I would not want to stumble into one because they aren't going to give you a chance. He didn't think I was going to help him at all. So there is the basics of him, and I want to show you a little shortcut. I've got a sheet of sandpaper that I'm going to put under here to help with some of the texture. His back is more smooth, so maybe I should go ahead and just shade his back a little bit. Because the sun is coming this way, this edge is darker. This is very dark right here, very dark. And this edge is a little dark here. And then it's going to lighten a little bit lighter. And you could do loops if you want to. You could do lines, whatever you want to do. I'm going to go a little bit darker there. And this area seems darker on the shell. And that's just his markings. This has nothing to do with the sun. I may go back in with my eraser and kind of take out, pull out some of the shadow that got put in there, or the darkness that got put in there that I didn't want to have in there. And I think it's brilliant to have erasers on pencils. So there he is. I'm going to reinstate this one line a little bit to make it more obvious. I think it actually looks a little cut there. Not cut literally, but cut off like it's broken. It's not the true kidney bean shape there, and, a little bit angled there. So there he is, and I'm going to slide a little bit of sandpaper under here. Now these creatures are camouflaged very well. He's hard to see when he's off of the dirt, this gravelly dirt. He's hard to see. I'm going to take the foot of my pencil, not the toe. There might be parts where I'll take the toe of the pencil, but I'm going to take the foot so I can gently glide it over this sandpaper to try to get the bumps from it. So I'm just gently going over here. I don't want to press hard unless I'm in a shadowed area. So it's just going to help to add some of these little bumps to it without having to work so hard, making every single bump. And if that's something that you would like to do, yeah, do it. But I like to press the easy button, and I like to do things easier if it's possible. So I'm putting in a little bit of sandpaper here to kind of give a little bit of an illusion of having the ground being rough. So when you were little, if you took leaves and you did leaf rubbings, you know that if you press really hard, you press so hard that you can't see the bumps of the leaves. So I'm just gliding over the top of it. If you've ever taken a penny and shaded, I remember my dad showing me that when I was a little kid, taking a penny and just gently shading. That's what I'm doing here. Also, I have a graphite stick, which I could lay down and make some of the shades. It's just a stick. I sharpened this one to be able to get in and use it a little better. After a little bit, it's going to start to look like it's part of the ground here. So we'll go in and we'll reinstate a few lines to make him look like he's actually not part of the ground. But there's that. And I think I might even use some of this. I'll go back to my pencil. Maybe I'll leave this under here as I'm shading him in a little bit more too. And it's going to add some natural texture to it, even in the claws. And that's what they are, is full of texture. They're very beastly looking animals. Very beastly. Adding a little bit of darkness where I see a little bit more shadow. Even their claws have texture. Seriously, rugged little animals. His head has texture. So, you can go right in and add all kinds of texture with him. And I don't know if it's really a him. It could be a her. I don't know anything about these animals other than I remember the first time I saw one and I thought, what a beautiful creature. And yeah, it was real beautiful till it started to want to bite. And I didn't get bit, but I could see how people would. And I don't know. I've heard they hang on. They hang on to you. So when I saw what it did to my little snow brush, I believe it. So there it is without outlining every bit of it. I'm going to put a little more shadow so it looks like it's sitting and not floating in the air. I don't know if they're aquatic at all. I think they're looking for wet areas. I'm just going in and doing some of the shading. I'd like to shade this little shell just a bit more, kind of give it a, feeling more of it being alive. And I'm looking at the eyes. I might go in and add a little bit more here for the eyes. And the features aren't really easy to see on its face. I probably could have just gotten away with shading in a lot more than what I did and just kind of escape the eyes the face altogether and just put in some eyes. But I wanted you to see that he really is a beautiful, detailed creature. If you would like me to send you the reference to this, the photo to this, you can message me. Maybe what I should be doing is, as time goes on, leaving you the reference in the comments. If you can let me know, I don't want to go through the extra work if you really don't need it. I don't want to just do unnecessary work if somebody doesn't want it. But if you do want it, let me know, and then I can make a practice of getting the reference in there. Let's see. Now I'm going to just go in and erase out some of these little spots that look so unique. And I could go in and spend a long time drawing this little guy. This is very fun to me, and this is soothing and therapeutic to me. And the more you draw and the more you can draw without talking, the more therapeutic it is. So you can get into your right brain, so you can get into that creative side and really draw. Now, this sandpaper, I want to warn you, this sandpaper, even though there's a page in between, I have 2 pages in between. It actually worked better with 2 pages. I didn't even realize. Better as far as, I'm surprised there were only 2 pages. But here, yeah, definitely. It's grinding down my pencil quickly. I like that with just 1 page in there. I'm sorry I goofed up, but you hopefully can see those dots showing up. It's really pretty beautiful. I love it. Now I want to just show you quickly how to gesture draw this little creature. So hopefully I can do a little gesture on the side now. I'm going to try to move this and reposition. Or you know what I'll do is I'm just going to flip the paper so I don't have to worry about that, about moving it out of the frame. Now I am going to I'm just going to draw it the way that I see it and just let you know how I do it. So this is a gesture drawing of this turtle, and often I do gesture drawings when they are actually moving. This is a still, but it's okay. I'm just starting with my circle, and I'm going to come up, and so I've worn out my pencil pretty good. Come up. I often use the edge of my pencil for it so that I just can flow with it, and I'll be putting in the head and the little leg, and see, I can see the shapes, and I just kind of do jig-jagged shapes, and it looks kind of goofy, but it gives you more of a freedom to just kind of, make shapes, and it's fast. It's like, should be like, this should really only take me maybe a minute. It's not anything that long and lengthy. I've got to move this over. And it's a lot of those shapes that I'm telling you. And then I was like, that one doesn't look quite right, so I'm going to just make my loop a little further. Okay, so it's not, you're not getting exactly how I do it because I'm still coaching you through it. But when I'm alone, I just start sketching, and I'm looking and comparing sizes and shapes, and then changing things as I go. And then as I work a little bit more, I change the position of my pencil and start going into the actual details. And I'll go as long as, as I can on my gesture drawing until I feel like, I'm done. And sometimes I'll do gesture drawings in situations where there's a model and they only time you for 30 seconds or for a minute or 5 minutes. And sometimes they'll give you, 10 minutes, and then you can get more and more detailed. But you're just kind of getting the idea of what it is you're drawing. And you can go in and, it's kind of silly looking, but you're getting the idea. Gesture drawings, just, that. It's a gesture. It's quick. It's not anything that's big and dragged out. And then you can go in, and if you want to, you can shade a little bit and just get an idea of, what you're doing. And then you can even add the shadow underneath him, shadow on his head. I want to work more on the head. That's the portrait artist that is in me. I want it to look like who I'm drawing. So that's the thing about gesture. It looks like a person's head in there, like an anime. They do have a personality, though. Holy smokes. And my pencil, I'm starting to lose my tip because it's getting to the wood. But anyway, that sandpaper really took my pencil down fast. So that'll just give you an idea of, how great the sandpaper works. But there is the snapping turtle as a gesture. I want to change the mouth. It's totally bothering me. And I would block his head a little bit, maybe more squared. And I've got to get it's bothering me because it looks like a person. So I've got to make it look not like a person for me to be happy with this thing. Let's see if I can go like that and then shade it in. But I can also give it a little bit of a ground where it's actually sitting without having to do the sandpaper and whatever. But anyhow, if you get the idea, practice little gesture drawings in between. If you're not quite confident to do all of your things in a gesture, and you won't do everything in a gesture, but practice. Just take something, look at it, a pop can, whatever, and just sketch it quick using a gesture without measuring, without thinking. You're getting a basic idea of a shape. I will start teaching you later about how to use different ways to put together things. But right now, I'm just trying to show you how parts are relative to other parts and some basic ideas on how to draw. It's drawing this way is less painstaking, I think, than gridding, but there are other methods to be able to help you to be able to get more accurate using this method. And I'd like to be able to continue on with using this method with you. It's fun. This is where you can sit and you can just draw people, and you can just draw things, and you don't have to measure and grid and painstakingly get all the lines on your paper before you even begin. I mean, this is just a way to get in. There's freedom in drawing like this that I want to share with you, and that's why I'm doing these videos. I want to share how you don't have to grid and you don't have to painstakingly measure everything. You're training your eye is what you're doing, and through gridding and measuring you are training also. But this gives me a bunch of freedom. So I hope that this week you notice something interesting in the world around you. And I hope you find a little more time to draw it. And I really want to thank you for drawing with me. And I want you to please keep on drawing.